Welcome. I would like to speak this morning a little bit about trust. Trust is inherent in silence, for in silence there are no intruders, no complication, no past, no issue. The mind is not equipped to trust. It is built out of distrust. And distrust is the byproduct of experiencing life as separation, me and other. As soon as there is the identification with me and other, there is some distrust that is going to be swirling in the mind. Even if things are going well, temporarily the mind is being satisfied, receiving what it needs, but you can be guaranteed something will arise. Trust lives in the silence. In the silence, you feel yourself everywhere, in everything, everywhere and everything. You feel everything as yourself. You are not deluded by the mind's interpretation of separation and then the ongoing stream of karma. But you are living in the moment. When you live in the moment, you live in the silence. The silence is everywhere, in everything. There is no mind in silence, so there is no interpretation. But there is the wisdom of the play, which will move the pawns in ways that have the potential to bring distrust to the surface, so that it can be seen for the humble one to realize that this is just the conditioned program. No one's fault. It's conditioned program. And the conditioned program too arises within the silence that carries no thought, but holds everything. True trust is the trust of every single thing. If there is anything that is not trusted, it is not true trust. It's based on a mind's idea of how things should be. The thing that can be confusing at times is that when one is resting in the omnipresent space of yourself, the vessel will be used. It will play all these different roles. One of the roles it will play will be to bring up the mind's conditioned habit of distrust for the humble one who keeps everything inside and realizes it is all God's teachings, that everything is God's teachings, that every reaction of the ego for one who is mature is a humbling where there is a witnessing of the conditioned distrust that comes up. But reality is in this moment. In this moment, there is no past. The past is just an imaginary story. The identity arises in the imaginary story of the past. But you're alive only now. And when you live in what is alive only now, you are everywhere and everything. You taste the oneness that is the nature of reality. And there is nothing but trust. It's even deeper than trust. It is complete surrender and reverence for every single thing as the movement of God, which is what is moving every single thing. So the possibility of pointing a finger of something wrong becomes impossible because not that it will not arise in the mind, but every time it arises in the mind, there is the possibility of being who you are, the space of awareness that witnesses the arising, witnesses the innocence and the mechanical nature of it, witnessing that the mind is built out of distrust, but holding the space of love for all of it, for it's all innocent. You are innocent. When you recognize your own innocence, you feel into the innocence of everything. When there is some internal feeling that there is something wrong, something out of integrity, then you will experience it in the play, not to hurt you, but to witness the process arising within you, and for the mature, humble one to let that humble away all conditioning. We are very graced because most are very mature in this process, where everything the play offers softens something, softens some belief, softens some position, because the recognition of who you are is the resolution of every apparent conflict. You are not a separate person. You are not the computerized program. You are not the egoic mechanism. You are aware of that. How can you be bound by what you are aware of? And the awareness that you are is the silence that you feel. And the silence that you feel is everywhere. And this feeling is eternally now. It's not in relationship with situations, it is in relationship with itself. And in this, there is just this love and beauty and humility. And the more you fall into it, the more there is the welcoming of every teaching that is being offered. And the teachings are what the mind can interpret as a conflict. But there is no conflict. There is just the conditioned mind. And everything comes up to disassemble the conditioned mind when the work is done internally. And then love shines because love is your nature. Your nature is pure love, it's pure consciousness, it's pure beauty, and it's here now. Letting go of the mind's habits of judgment and watching the mind's conditioning and responding while you are feeling what is watching. And what is watching is everywhere, in everything. In this, there is nothing to distrust. In this, when the play plays itself, which brings up the distrust mechanisms, you are humble enough to just watch it and hold it and love it and see the innocence of it and see the unreality of it. Just a programmed story that repeats itself with different players that are all connected to what? To your dream. Everything that is playing is your dream. There is nothing that is experienced that is outside of your dream. It's all you. And when there is conflict in you, it will present itself in the play. If there is reaction to that, then there is suffering. If there is humility, and you realize that this is God's teaching, then it humbles away something into pure nectar, into pure nectar. Your true nature is pure nectar. The doorway is humility. Humility is the release of the habit of becoming reactive, but watching the mechanism and receiving the teaching. For everything external in truth is discovered to be internal. Everything is your dream, and you are the witness to the whole dream. And what is the dream? It is the whole world. It is the whole universe. It is everything, and you lay witness to it. And when you feel yourself in everything, everywhere like this, every teaching is grace, leaves only gratitude. Every player is recognized to be God. Everything is God. Everything is born out of the silence. Everything lives only in the moment. The moment has no past. It's here now. There is no distrust. There is no conflict, for there is no past. There is in truth only beauty. And when you feel yourself as you are, boundless, when you feel the boundless nature of the heart, there is a falling in love with everything, because everything is an extension, a reflection of yourself. And where your unique flavor meets the flavor of anything, that meeting is the birth of love, and it is consciousness meeting itself. And when this happens, it becomes really, really alive and joyous, becomes luminous, and joy fills everything. It is inherent in the feeling of now. It is inherent in your being. Your being is every single player in your dream. When you separate yourself out in this dream, then arises distrust and conflict, which is always a repetition. And when there is the humility, there is the seeing of the repetition and the gratitude for the teaching, which continues to dissolve your conditioning more and more, which opens your heart more and more deeply into the eternal presence of who you are. And it takes great humility to let go of every position. It takes great humility to remain inside when the role of the play, it's all your dream, but the role of the play is what seems to be outside, stimulates and sets off something that has already been internalized, but is not completely worked. But when you see it for what it is, and you remain humble and you turn within, everything that the mind distrusts is realized as grace. That is the doorway for your own self. That is the liberation of consciousness to experience itself in everything and everyone right now, right in this precious, holy moment now. The humility to let go of all position, all distrust, and to live in the beauty of the silence, living in the beauty of the silence. What is the difference between you and I? It is imagination. There is no difference. The self is one. It animates the players. It is not someone doing something. It is all being done. It is all your own dream. Everything, every tiny detail is about you. Anything that feels not love drenched and alive, anything that feels off, is something off inside of you. That the grace of the wisdom is playing the pawns so that you, with this humility, can witness and see, can witness the innocence, can witness that this is just the conditioned mind, can hold the space that unravels everything and reveals the growing beauty that is always becoming deeper and deeper the more humble you are. True trust is the trust of yourself. It's the trust of this moment. It's the trust of the silence. And it is the trust of all of God's teachings that come in to humble you into nothing. What is in pure integrity is the silence. When it moves the players, who knows what it will do? But when it is coming out of silence, it is in harmony. Harmony is harmony with everything. Everything is only one thing. The one thing is yourself.